Friends, Dr. Murphy here with Universal Book Club, a new book about Edgar Allan Poe, and I'm going to tie in spirituality because as a universalist, I believe the truest word of God is Christ on the cross. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing, all right? Our God is all merciful. Our God made all of us. Our God is going to save all of us. Do you really think that Edgar Allan Poe is toasting in hell for all of his sins and imperfections? No. Okay? So, this new book, Edgar Allan Poe, The Soul Within the Shadow. There comes Poe with his raven like Barnaby Rudge, 3/5 of him genius and 2/5 sheer fudge, James Russell Lowell. Well, that seems pretty judgmental by that author, right? Let's just read this. This is fascinating how this young boy who had a very rough start and was born with the genes, the genetic makeup God gave him, turned out to be a fascinating author, artist, but yet a very troubled soul. Okay? In the annals of American literary culture, few have left as bold a mark as Edgar Allan Poe. In 1841, with The Locked Room Mystery, The Murders in the Rue Morgue, Poe invented the genre of detective fiction. For years later, he introduced into poetry the indelible phrase, quoth the raven, nevermore. In his macabre short stories, victims are chained, set aflame, buried alive, strapped to torture tables. Where in popular culture you find this madness, obsession, disease, or decay, you will find the fingerprints of Poe, who died in 1849. Even people who aren't big readers have heard of The Pit and the Pendulum, The Fall of the House of Usher, and The Telltale Heart. Yeah, we have. That's spooky stuff, right? Lying in Wait, The Pit and the Pendulum, second plate by this artist in 1861. Poe was a turbulent soul, ardent and moody, thoughtful, but grievously volatile. How many people do we know like that in modern days? A lot, okay? Because God made us all that way. Poe became the girl's tutor, and when she was 13 and he 27, her husband. Edgar and Virginia lived happily through their 5-year decline and death from tuberculosis at 24. Poe himself, by then, had but 2 years to live. Mr. Copley endeavors to link Poe's life to his work to show how in his writing he ventilated private pain and sometimes animus, while at the same time reaching for consolation. His poems To Helen, Annabel Lee, and Ulalume, for example, all brim with grief for women loved and lost. Poe's fatal flaw was his inability to handle drink. Any of you out there know some hardcore alcoholics? Yeah, many are born with those genetic predispositions for addictions of all kinds. A final spree left him stupefied, shabby, and bloated. He was taken from tavern to hospital. For years, Poe had integrated his life into his work. Perhaps now, at the end, Poe was integrating his work into his life. Mr. Copley writes of the man's final moments. Having reached toward the edge throughout his writing, he was finally there. There is heaven. Edgar Allan Poe, like all of God's creations, is in heaven, no longer suffering, but he left us with amazing literature.